Hey everyone, good evening. Welcome to hyperspace. And this is the fourth of these sort of monochrome light tunnel paintings. I posted one this morning that was kind of a frothy thing, and that was Michelle's favorite out of the group. And then there's another one I did the other day that's sort of a spiral. This one's real simple. And sometimes simplicity makes things more challenging because you can't hide the weaknesses as easily. So how are y'all doing? It's interesting times, right? And I imagine most of you are either in a lockdown situation, or if you are tattoo artists, your shops are temporarily closed or in appointment-only mode. And we really didn't do any tattooing here this month at all, except for about a week ago. Michelle and I each had a client, and it was sort of bittersweet. It felt like the last tattoo we're doing in the particular era, and I think we're going to be returning to a different normal than what we're used to. Hey, Morgan. Good to see you. This time last year we were all camping in Arkansas, freezing our butts off. Not a care in the world except for freezing our butts off. How different it is. So, some of you are probably going crazy. Some of you, like us, are probably staying too busy to go crazy quite yet. And anyone who's ever been out here to hyperspace probably figures we are pretty well situated for this event. Because, we've got some acreage, and daughter and I go out into the woods looking for mushrooms every day, and we're not finding much yet. But hopefully by the time we run out of food and the nation's in a zombie apocalypse, we'll be able to find some mushrooms. And been keeping the online store kind of humming along best I can. We had to lay off our employee Jason. It was one of the hardest things I've ever done. He's been with us for 13 years. I don't know if our economy is ever going to allow us to be able to afford high quality help like that again. Let's hope. I hope we can return to normal, some kind of normal that we can recognize. And then, of course, there's some families that, as much as they love each other, they're not used to being in each other's face this much. That's another thing we're really used to. We homeschool our kid already, and she's in our face all the time, so this changes nothing, at least in that regards, except we can't take her to karate. She's doing her piano lessons over the screen, although her teacher is super awesome. Able to keep that up. Her Friday forest school group meeting thing isn't happening. But other than that, this time last year we were riding our bikes a lot. There's a really great trail out here in southern Illinois near us. On an old railroad bed. And this time last year we were starting to find mushrooms, huge pheasant backs, also known as dryad saddle, that we would see. We're riding along this old railroad bed that's been turned into a trail, and it's a very three-dimensional landscape. You've got a lot of like those Wile E. Coyote-style trestle bridges and things like that. And every now and then you look down from the trail, and 100 feet down there you see these enormous pheasant back caps. And so then we're scrambling down there trying to figure out how to not fall and how to get back up after we've grabbed them. It's fun adventures. But we're not doing that right now. All the state and national parks, all the state parks in Illinois are closed. I don't know if the national parks have done it yet, but I know they were talking about it. So yeah, I started this last night, and I'm using liquid, which means it dries pretty fast. That's an alkyd medium. This is oil. And alkyd is a fast-drying medium. Some of you might be familiar with Sean Barber, a really badass painter. Also tattoos. And he's got a profile on Instagram called Tattooed Portraits. That's he's gradually posting his whole body of work, and if you want to see some impressive paintings. But anyway, he swears by alkyds because you can control the drying time a lot better than you can with just straight oil. I struggled with linseed oil for many years. Linseed and turpentine mix, or terpenoid rather. And I just got such inconsistent drying results, and especially doing glazes over certain colors, light blues. Like years later, the oils are still kind of bunching and grouping together and doing weird stuff. The varnish I put on wasn't thick enough to lock it down, I guess. But you live and learn. So yeah, alkyds are a lot more solid that way, I guess. Gives you a nice hard semi-gloss surface that locks the paint down. Anyway, yeah, it's dry enough that I can do this thin glaze. I'm just going to work the light sources a little bit and then go around the outer part and work the shadow. And I'm going to try to give a sense of a little bit of a swirling motion. And if I can pull it off, it'll look kind of like you're looking down a tunnel with a light source at the end. And it sort of looks like that right now, but the trick is to strengthen the illusion. Try to land all the brush marks in the right place. It's almost like a math puzzle. And it's a very simple motif where you can really see if I'm doing it right or not. Yeah, I actually have a few of these images, like these light tunnel things. I've got another one that's sort of like a bumpy sphere, another one that's sort of like a bumpy hill. There's a convex concave. These are all exercises that I've done over and over again. And, through the years, just to kind of test where I'm at. They also, they're cool looking images, and each time I do one, years has passed, and it's completely different than the previous time. And, at some point, if I keep it up, it'll just look like a photograph. But I don't know if I'll ever be that good. I think it'll always be a little bit stylized. Just because I can't help the fact that there's a little bit of me in this. And honestly, when I do paintings that are too photoreal, where I'm using a photo reference and I haven't done much manipulation or personalization, people never buy those. It's kind of funny. I think art with a little personality has got more natural appeal. It's less cold, I guess, clinical. more personal. So who here has got some collaboration projects going on with your homies during this thing? Like, I've been initiating a lot of these. Like today I started one with Kurt Windisch. He was one of the artists involved with the Biomech Encyclopedia. Really did a ton of work on it. And let's see, Juan Salgado and I have one started that I'm really psyched about. I think it's gonna be a really good one. Simple in some ways, complex in others, and it's gonna be very immediately recognizable that Juan and I did it. So I'm pretty excited about that one. Got one going with John Clue. That pretty soon we'll be taking it to Canvas. What we're doing is, with most of these projects, is doing the bulk of it digitally, because that's easy to pass back and forth. Then I've got this large format Canvas art printer. So when we got it about 90% there, I print it on Canvas at a decent size and stretch it, hit it with clear gesso, and then do a pass with oil, sign it, send it to the other party. They do their pass with oil and sign it, and we're done. That way it only has to get mailed once, but we're able to do a bunch of passes on it, and it still results in an actual physical piece of original art, which I think is, I don't know, I'm a little old school that way. But anyway, yeah, also in progress, there's one that I started last year with Phil Garcia, which is really intimidating, because Phil's skills are really intimidating. I need to get back on that one. Got one going with Killian Moon, which is already at the Canvas stage. Man, his visit earlier this year, we did this back piece. It was such an energetic visit. We covered so much ground. It's like, man, this is going to be such a good year. And then, let's see, this week, what got canceled was Shane Smith's visit. Shane and I had 3 collaborative projects we were going to be doing. Cover-up sleeve and big leg piece and a rib panel. And then the Inglorious Hoko from New Zealand. He was going to be coming out immediately after that. We were going to do a back piece. He was going to bring me up to speed with ZBrush, and I was really excited about that because, you know, I need to learn some digital modeling because I've got painting projects that are going to need it. And so 2 days on that, then Ty McEwen was going to be out here, and of course he had to cancel his whole tour. And we were going to start a back piece, and we had already done some sketches for it, and it was looking pretty cool. Some crazy shark tooth, organic, atmospheric, underwater mech stuff. And then, we had another project going on there too, and then he was going to leave, and then Marco Velazquez and I started a back piece, and so... Man, I had kind of an exciting month planned here. All collabs, right? Dream projects. That also was going to be like, you know, my income for the month. But for the, you know, whatever. You're all going through it too. You know what's up with that. So... Meanwhile, just being realistic about, you know, how long is this thing going to be going on for? How hard is it going to hit us? And what's going to happen with our savings, right? You know, I imagine some of you are wondering about that. Looks like our government assistance of $1,200 a person. That'll, you know, I mean, do I even have to say anything? But, you know, like some banks are giving mortgages 3 months forbearance, things like that. So there's a few of these things. There might be some small business loans available out there, especially for people who have employees, and that might allow people to, at the very least, just keep the pilot light burning. Yeah, I had heard some horrifying statistic about restaurants, independent restaurants, that is, the ones that aren't fucking Chili's or whatever, right? That most of them aren't going to be reopening. It's, almost impossible for them to, if they don't get some kind of assistance. And what a cultural loss that is. I mean, think about that. The independent restaurants, the ones that people have built up with their heart and soul. Golly, I hope that isn't the case. But yeah, we'll be fine. Yes. Christian Lopez, yes, we will be fine. And we tattooers, it's a weird thing. The 2008 banking crisis, we did fine, right? I think most of us, if we weren't already in a struggling shop, if we had something that people really wanted, we were still getting paid for it and getting by. And I mean, just the fact that we can't tattoo right now at this moment is a little awkward, but I think it's teaching all of us to be more creative and more resourceful. And yeah, we'll be fine. We might learn something good from it. But yeah, they will find a cure. It might take 12 to 18 months. That's the problem. And if that's the case, what'll probably happen is we'll get a break. We'll get a break this summer. And we might even get a break through the rest of the year. It might be a thing that has its resurgence in January, February, which is kind of like the flu schedule. This is what New Scientist magazine was predicting. And so that happens, and vaccine isn't ready yet, but we have a lot more antiviral treatments and things ready. We have a lot more ventilators ready, and we have this down. People, by that point, know that they shouldn't be partying on the beach. So we do better with the second round of it, and then they get the vaccine to us before we need to endure a third round. So, yeah, that's a likely scenario. But right now, yeah, we're watching the map. We have this tracker. Michelle has been a little bit more proactive than I have about just keeping tabs on, where the cases are popping up and how bad they are and death rates and all that. And it's been kind of a crazy thing to live with the blow-by-blow report, but, I shouldn't be in denial or ignorant of it. We're trying to take it seriously. And, I'm in my 50s. I'm not going to say I'm too young and healthy to be taken down by this thing. So what are the positives right now that we're trying to get out of it? There's quite a few of them, really. I think part of it is just about tightening up our ship in general. We've always had so many irons in the fire, so many things going on, a lot of slop, a lot of waste, and a lot of spinning of wheels. And so, yeah, we've kind of isolated a lot of that stuff. And then we're doubling down on the things that we think are going to work business-wise, and even with our elaborate homestead situation here, the projects that we decide to take on and not take on, and what the studio needs and things like that, and, kind of abandoning silly fantasies and figuring out, what we actually really need. Meanwhile, I've been spending some time every day when it's not pissing down rain outside with shovel and wheelbarrow and pruners and that kind of thing. So that's another thing sort of keeping me sane. Daughter, as long as she's running around outside with the wind in her hair, she's as happy as it can be. It's kind of funny. Takes so little. I've never heard her say she's bored when she's outside. She misses her friends. They use some kind of Facebook chat thing to stay in touch. Something that parents can vet. I'm actually Facebook illiterate on purpose. So, some of you probably are struggling to keep the kids from going crazy. And some kids are probably digging this or thought they'd dig it and are starting to get bored. Some are probably falling into a routine. Some might be keeping up with their education somewhat. Others are probably going to have a very hard time getting back to it later on. Most of them have been told that they're not going to be going back to school this semester. The ones that are graduating might not have a graduation ceremony. Crazy, right? Or some kind of virtual graduation ceremony. Digital commencement. So yeah, our daughter, part of her homeschool is keeping things project-based, okay? So we have book projects going on at any given time. She and I have been collaborating on one for years, and we every now and then step back into it, and the illustrations are most of the way done. Lizard Life, the story of Tiny and Spiny, some eastern fence lizards, and their adventures with a large rat, snake, and other garden creatures. And we go back and we review the dialogue every now and then and try to update it and make it better, and the illustrations are gradually taking shape. And it's sort of based on our local area and our knowledge of the local creatures, and she's very knowledgeable about this stuff. She really enjoys animals in general, and she loves saying the long scientific names and whatnot. Hey, Daddy, is that Flammulina volutipus? And then painting projects, drawing projects, and she has an iPad Pro, which is funny, I don't have one, I have to borrow hers. I've got one of those big Wacom thingies, which causes me to be upstairs in the office instead of chilling with the fam or whatever. So, which is good sometimes. But that's going to be one of the next things I budget for myself when things are back to normal. I'm going to get myself an iPad Pro and start using Procreate, which has turned out to be, it's not the same as Photoshop, and, certain projects I'll always want to use Photoshop for, but it's a great drawing app, it really is, and so she's very Procreate literate, and it's great watching her just, surf the internet for bat wings so that she can find the right position and then use that as a reference while she's drawing a dragon wing. And then, she can do music and make videos and things like that. 9 years old, kids these days are a lot more comfortable with these things, but we try to encourage her to think of it as not just screwing around. The hard thing is follow through. And it's funny. So, my friend Marcus Lenhard sent me this cartoon. Some of you have probably seen this. It's this kind of floppy little lumpy character explaining about how, as an artist, well, you exhale, right? And the exhalation, it shows this creature exhaling the word art, right? So, as artists, that's what we do. We exhale art. But we can't just keep exhaling or else we'll just die, right? We need to inhale. We need to breathe. And that consists of all kinds of things, which sometimes it could be reading books, it could be going outside and exploring the beauty of nature, it could be watching movies or just taking time off. It could mean sometimes following the next shiny thing and maybe letting things, older obligations, slip a little bit, because sometimes that's part of breathing. And I don't know what I was getting at there, but I think it's really important for kids who we're trying to encourage to be creative to find a balance between being disciplined and dedicated and finding the fun in it, and the joy of it. And I think it's part of the reason it's there for me still is because I'm not chained to an easel. I haven't said, all right, I'm going to sit here for 80 hours a week until I die, I'm not dramatic like that. I just want to enjoy painting, and for me it's a privilege because I have so much crap that I have to do all day, every day. And you all know what that's about, You're running your shop, taking care of your family. It's funny, after I had my crowdfunding campaign for the Biomech Encyclopedia, I owed all these paintings. It was like, wow, I've got this excuse. I have to paint. And so I actually just got myself into better painting habits during that period. I spent more time doing it. And so now that I'm through with all those, I'm still at a little bit higher output than I normally would be. What's in my mind to paint these kind of things? Okay, so this is sort of part of a series. So I've done these 4 light tunnels, and the light tunnels are, on the one hand, it's just an exercise trying to get lighting and texture and a sense of depth and distance and all that stuff. So it's just a technical challenge. On the other hand, I'm really trying to capture a feeling, right? And I'm trying to do that with all my art because I'm not really saying anything specific with any of it. But capturing a feeling, now I am trying to say something specific, I take that back. The kind of feeling that I'm trying to express in my paintings is very specific. And I think that some of it comes across, but, it's hard to say. I don't know. I don't know what other people feel when they see it. And, I kind of have in my mind, especially for the ones I've spent a lot of time on, kind of a narrative, this is sort of about this. It's trying to express this. Or this feeling is kind of like this that I'm trying to say. And I find that it's better not to actually voice that stuff to people and instead just ask them what they get out of it. And then I can kind of compare it against my original objective, right? The thing that I was trying to say. And why is that important to me? Because I'm trying to communicate, right? I'm trying to communicate something extremely subtle, but it's very specific. So, I've kind of set myself up for a hard challenge. But I want to know if I'm actually achieving any part of that. And it's hard because we all see things differently. I'm colorblind, right? I see this completely differently from the rest of you. Isn't that weird? But, whatever. I'll paint anyway. I'm not afraid of color. Those dot tests with all the different colors and you're supposed to see numbers in them. I flunked those so horribly. So some of you have seen this painting of mine, Light Form 10. Now this has been one of the more widely published ones. It's got a kind of a sky thing going on. There's clouds and this big vibratory light structure humming away in the middle of it. And there's a very specific thing that I was trying to convey there, right? And again, it's just a feeling. So I'm going to try to put it into words. And I've always failed at this, but I'm going to try it anyway. So, all right, first of all, the language elements that I used. The lighting itself, and I feel like I succeeded with the lighting at about 70%, right? I think I could do better now if I did a similar painting, which I will in the future. But the lighting is very specific. It's a certain time of year and a certain time of day, and there's a moment. It's September-ish, right? And it's not really the end of summer yet, but you're starting to seriously chase whatever is left of it. And then that time of day, it's sort of the same thing. It's, you're feeling pulled towards the west. The lighting's getting golden. You're starting to feel this sense of either a nostalgic contentment or maybe a longing, right? This chase that you could never succeed at. But you feel compelled towards it anyway. And right there, in the center of it all, is this feeling of having actually gotten there, of chasing this thing and actually arriving. How's that? And somebody asked me the other night, why am I painting in silence? And I usually don't. And a lot of you already understand that Instagram has this policy with copyrighted material and blah, blah, blah. And what ends up happening is your video just suddenly disappears. And that sucks, right? So I just don't run the risk. Normally this time of night I'd be playing something kind of minimalistic. And I play very different music when I tattoo from when I paint. And I like my tattoo playlist just as much as my painting playlist, but it's just a different time of day, it's a different mood. I don't usually play classical when I'm tattooing, it just doesn't work. But I'm fairly passionate about music, all the different genres. And late at night, it might end up being something like a Philip Glass chorus, but often lately it's been Brian Eno, just very minimalistic, quiet layers of fuzz, or Al Gromer Khan, sort of atmospheric sitar, meditation kind of thing, and hour-long tracks that are almost featureless, and it's just enough to drive out the stupid jingles that would be in my head otherwise. My daughter and I, we have a hobby, and we come up with vulgar doggerel, and we come up with tunes for it and everything. We harmonize. It's awesome, right? But it gets stuck in my head. My secret life. Songs about cats pooping and stuff. It's great. But yeah, in the shop, tattooing lately, what's been on the mix? We've had, let's see, some Tool on there. We've had some Queens of the Stone Age, Radiohead, some electronic stuff like Future Sound of London, Bass Nectar, Entheogenic. When Michelle's tattooing, sometimes there's a little bit more trancey stuff in the mix too. A little bit of downbeat electronic like Thievery Corporation. Alright, so a couple people asking questions about medium. I haven't painted acrylic in a long time, except for underpainting. Almost everything's oil these days, and the medium I'm using is Liquin, which is a type of alkyd. Galkyd is another brand that's good, that's very similar. And it's a fast-drying medium. Overnight, usually, which for oils is fast. And of course, you don't want it to dry too fast. I mean, if you want it to dry too fast, you just want acrylic.